Hello everyone, welcome to JIB CIB English Medium. My name is CRT and this session is your Chalisa session in which we will be quickly revising your all important concepts. So let's start with the very first one, that is about different contributors. So first is your Henry Fayol. He gave a formal organization theory and he is also known as father of modern management. Then next, Frederick Taylor. He is known as father of scientific management and his scientific management is known as Taylorism, in which he discussed about how to improve industrial efficiency, and the book name is Principles of Scientific Management. Then Peter Drucker, he represents about people and they are working in any organization. If employees are successful, means somewhere management is supportive, but employees are, you can say, unsuccessful, then somewhere management is not supportive. And he gave one book which is Management, TRP, Task, Responsibilities and Practices. Last, Peter Senge, he gave 5 disciplines, the art of learning organization. Now, we have different management thoughts and approaches, that how management is doing their decision making or how they are maintaining their organization. So first is your classical or traditional school. In this, employees were considered as slaves. They were compared with machines. Yes, here no motivation, no behavioral science, nothing. So this was a drawback in your classical or traditional school. Then neoclassical or behavioral school. Now under this, they are talking about motivation. Okay, they are learning about employees' behavior, how management can motivate their employees. That is what covered. And under this, we have 3 different laws, that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Douglas X and Y theory, and motivation and hygiene theory. So let's start with the first one, that is your Douglas X and Y theory. X theory talks about totally negative thing of your employees. Like they are lazy, they avoid responsibility, they are self-centered, they have no ambition, they are low in creativity, very negative they are saying. Then theory Y talks about totally positive thing. Okay, like work is natural, they are self-directed and they are very creative, they are self-motivated. You just need to support them because they are very innovative and they are not resisting because that is not in their nature, but because of their past experience, they are saying no to any one thing. So this is X and Y. Then Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So as per Maslow's hierarchy, they are saying as an individual, what is our first requirement? That is your psychological needs. So here, when you are talking about your food, shelter, that things are covered here. Then after fulfillment of this, you will shift to safety needs. Okay, like your health, life, that is. After fulfillment of this, you will shift to your next one, that is love and belonging. Friends, family, society. Then after that, you have self-esteem. That you want to achieve your targets. Yes, you want to prove yourself. That is. And finally, self-actualization, that who you are and why you are doing all these things. So this is your hierarchy. Remember, self-actualization is your top highest need. Then next is your motivation and hygiene. In this, you have 2 terms, motivation and hygiene. Motivation you will get when you are getting appraisals, bonus, incentives. That leads to motivation. But hygiene factors, these are your rights. Okay, means your basic rights like getting salary, job security, perquisites, allowances. So if these hygiene factors are not present, of course this will lead to demotivation. But in case of motivation factors are not there, that will not lead to any demotivation. If it is there, you are doing the work. If it is not there, you will stop. You will not stop doing your work. So that is what motivation and hygiene factors. Then next, quantitative school of management. Quantitative means you are using somewhere here maths and statistical model. Yes, so this quantitative is given as your mathematical and statistical model to find out solutions in case of management problem. Next is system school of management. Here we are talking about environment, that you are working in environment. So in environment, how you will get the resources, how you will use it, what are the ways, how you will continue your supply, that thing. Then contingency school of management. Contingency tells you that whatever problem managements are facing, okay, whatever problem this managements are facing, there is no one proper steps to make it clear. So this is what given, that each leader might deal with the same situation in different ways. Okay, they can opt for different ways, they can use their own leadership style to make your problem or to resolve that problem. Yes. So this is about your contingency school of management. Then next, contemporary school of management. In this you have total quality management and learning organization. Under TQM, you have 4 elements. Employee involvement. When you are making any decision, top level management, involve your employees. Whatever goods you are manufacturing, that needs to be as per your customer requirement. Then standardization. Whatever goods you are manufacturing today, that is the same quality, same thing you need to maintain for a number of years. Then continuous monitoring. If you find any difficulty or there is any hurdles, you need to rectify it and you need to follow your plan. And this TQM is given by Deming, Duran and Crosby. Now, coming to your next term, that is learning organization. This TQM and learning organization, these are the modern things which managements are using. Now, next is your learning organization. In this, we have 5 disciplines. First is personal mastery. You need to improve yourself, like you all are doing JIB, CIB. Why? You are to improve yourself, correct? That is. Then shared vision. Vision created collaboratively, not imposed. In your organization, you are following your management goals. Not you only, everyone in your bank, they are following your management goals. Then mental models. No assumptions you need to make. Then next is your team learning. You all need to work together as a team. Then system thinking means every department is interconnected. So that is what system thinking. Next is your business models. Now in this, you need to remember the names, the examples, and what is the meaning of it. First is solution providing and consulting model. Now in this, we are offering expert advice. Okay, this is your expert advice to improve your client operations, for example, IBM. Then profit pyramid model. When you are selling, you can say low margin products, you can cover large customers. But when you are earning higher profit or selling very expensive products, you will find only some specific group of people. So that is what profit pyramid means. If you see the pyramid, okay, when you're selling this, when you see this top side of the triangle, this is your top or high margin products, or you can say very expensive products. Okay. Whereas if you see this base of this triangle, this is your low margin product. For example, General Motors. Next is multi-component system model. Here sales based on at low or no profit and they earn from essential add-ons like gelatin. They sold their razor for a very less amount, but they earn huge amount from blade. Same for HP, printers and ink. They are selling printers for a very low amount, but ink, that is very costly. Next is advertisement model. What YouTube and Google, how they're earning? They're earning through paid advertisements, which we see during any movie, during any sessions. That is advertisement. Then switchboard model. Flipkart, Amazon, eBay, all these are intermediaries. They are not manufacturing any goods. So that is switchboard. Then time model. If you are first in the market, you will enjoy that profitability. Yes. Then next is efficiency model. When you are entering in the market when market is mature. So like Dell, Southwest Airlines, Walmart. Blockbuster model, you have like pharma, movies, blockbuster movie. So they are, getting their patent of the movies, medicines. So that is blockbuster model. Profit multiplier. In this, you have example like Disney. When they launched that Mickey Mouse, that was very flop thing. But when they started, manufacturing tiffins, bottles, bags, that a profit multiplied with it. So that is profit multiplier. Now, entrepreneur model. In this, you have Tata 1MG, which is acquired by Tata. Then, de facto industry. You are offering free or very cheap products to build brand dominance and then selling at a very huge amount. And this is what this is here, your Microsoft. Yes, so these are the business models. Now, coming to next, that is going to be your strategic management. Now, what is strategic management? When you are planning for your future. Now, here, what is the meaning of strategy? That term is derived from Greek word that means strategos, meaning general's view. Now, in this, you have important terms, and these terms are very important because in your previous year, they asked question from this. So, mission means your current situation, who you are and what you are doing right now. Vision means your future. In future, what you want to achieve. Clientele means about your customers, what type of customers you want to keep, current and in future. Then resources, how you will arrange this resources, raw material, that is. Present and future, who are your present competitors, and in future, where and how you will sustain in this market. Next is about different types of strategies. First is corporate strategy. So when you talk about Reliance, ठीक है, Ambani's, they are taking whole company decision. So that is your corporate strategy. Now, when you talk about any one particular sector in their company, let's say Reliance Fresh, है ना? So that is their one segment. So when they're talking about this particular business or this particular product, this is their business strategy. Now in this Reliance Fresh also, they must be having advertisement department, ठीक है? Then HR department, yes, finance department. So when they're talking about this department wise, so that is going to be functional strategy. Remember, functional means department. Yes, so these are the three types of strategies. Now next is your planning. Planning means deciding in advance. Like you decided how to cover your CIB syllabus. That is your planning. Now in this, remember, when you're planning, you are deciding your goal. And your goal should be SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So this is about your planning and SMART goal. Now this term is important, which is known as MBO. This is given by Peter F. Drucker in the book known as The Practice of Management. Now he's described this MBO as management need to include their employees and they need to work together to achieve their organizational goals. Yes, so management, employees working together to record, establish and monitor the goals that they have prepared for a particular period of time. Like in your bank, you and your banking management, they all are working together so that they can achieve their bank's target. Next is your environmental analysis. Now, environmental analysis means you are evaluating internal and external environment. Internal means within organization, external means outside organization. Now, in this, when you are evaluating, when you're talking about environment, how to do the analysis? You have 4 steps. First, you will identify, then you will do the scanning, then analyzing and forecasting. So these are the environmental analysis steps. Okay, ISAF. This is your environmental analysis steps. Now in this first thing, again this is important, which is known as PASTEL. PASTEL means, P means politics. Now if you talk about your bank, so politics like government schemes, government norms, their new, you can say any laws they have created. So whatever policy, government activity, any conflicts, any help, any schemes, which governments are implementing on your bank, that is one factor. Okay, so this is political factor. Your bank is also affected by GDP of the company, inflation in the society. So that is what? Economic factor. Society in which area your bank is working. If your bank is working in south area, then bank needs to provide holidays respect to their festivals, respect to their culture. If bank is working in north, then bank needs to provide holidays respect to their culture, respect to their you can say festivals. So this is what this is based on. Society, yes, social factor. S means social factor, in which area you are working, what are the cultural factors, religion and lifestyle. Then next you have technology. Like your banks now they are using computers, AIs, yes, softwares, CBS, that is what technology factor. IT, infrastructure, research, any technology trends. Then environment. In environment when you are working, so you need to support, you need to save this environment. Like in your JIB, you must have read about CSR activities. Here also you need to go for environmental policies, recycling, consumption and production processes. And finally, law. Laws are given by your regulatory bodies. Okay? So here like you have wages, rights, job security and regulations. So these are your PASTEL factors which are going to affect your company. Now, next is your internal environmental analysis. In this you have 3 factors, that is your gap analysis. Next is your strategy evaluation and third is SWOT analysis. Gap analysis means you are identifying the gaps in your performance. Okay? And this is internal weakness. Means you are going to see whatever you have planned and when you have actually implemented. In this, if you have any difference, okay, so you will take corrective action. That is what covered under gap analysis. Strategy evaluation means finally you are analyzing your outcomes of your strategy execution. Whatever strategies you have prepared, whether that is having correct output or there is something you need to modify, that is what given under strategy evaluation. SWOT, again important. SWOT means S, strength, W, weakness, O, opportunities, T, threats. What is the best thing about your bank? That is strength. In which area your bank is lacking, like customer relations are not proper, softwares are not good, that is. Then opportunities, what are the new things your bank can do? Bank is thinking to enter into insurance, that is opportunity. Threats, your competitors, your bank with any other bank. So this is about your threats. And this is internal environmental analysis. Next is your planning premises. Planning premises means here you are talking about assumptions and forecasts made about future conditions that affect planning. For doing your work, you require some environment and how these things will affect your manufacturing, profitability, raw material. That is what planning premises. Next is your contingency planning. Contingency planning means if your plan A fails, then you will shift to plan B, and this is known as alternative plans. Now, next is forecasting. Forecasting means deciding or estimating future, and how you are going to do it with the help of past and present data. With the past and present data, you will estimate your future. Now in this you have three types of forecast. First is your long-term forecast, which is going to be 3 to 5 years, strategic planning, investment, asset management. Then you have medium-term forecast in which you are focusing towards business, budgeting, minor strategic decisions. And last we have short-term forecast, which is your day-to-day operational forecast and financial health monitoring. So these are the different types of forecast. Now, next in this you have decision making. So, decision making means choosing one course of action from many alternatives. Yes, now when you talk about decision makers, so you have two, top management and middle and lower level. Top management talks about your senior level, most senior level. Lower and middle, in which we all are working. Okay, then you have group discussions, and then you have conditions for decision making. You have certainty, means you are 100% sure about it. Then you have risk. Risk means you have probability, 50-50%. Objective probability means based on some data. You have some proof. Subjective means based on intuitions. I think so this will happen. That uncertainty means no reliable information, like COVID. The next is your principles of decision making. Principle of definition means this is the clarity of your problem. Then evidence means based on some factual evidences you will take the decision. Identity means considering all point of views before taking any final decision. Then next term is death by plan. Management is means only focusing towards planning. They are not seeing any implementation. They are not working in their ground level. So this is what they are saying, death by plan, that top level management will die just by making planning. They are not at all ready to see what is going on in your ground level. So that is death by plan. Then next is your organizing process. Organizing means when you are making different departments. Okay. Now here you have 5 process, like you need to plan, you need to identify your goals, and then you need to see what are the ways through which you can achieve it. Then you are categorizing, means dividing into different departments. Then you are assigning activities and delegating authority. And finally, hierarchy of relationship you are setting. How communication will flow, yes, who will give the command, and how authorities will make the decisions. That is what. Then next is work specialization. So this talks about division of labor. Tasks are divided into specific jobs. As per your expertise, as per your area, you will get your work. Then authority. This person is having formal power to make decisions. Okay. Then chain of command. Chain of command tells you clear reporting relationship and responsibility. And under this you have 2 things. That is unity of command and scalar principle. Unity of command means one boss per employee. Okay, so that you can avoid confusion. Then scalar principle means clear chain from top authority to every employee. You should have a clear authority of chain. Yes, and this chain from top to every employee should be made. Now there is one term which is important, that is gangplank. Generally, you follow this hierarchy. Top level management, then middle level, and then lower level. So this is how communication is also flowing, and this is how communication is coming. But sometime in case of emergency, okay, this is the case of emergency, and lower level employee identified this emergency. So this lower level can break this hierarchy and directly contact to top level. So this is your gangplank. So this is bypassing hierarchy in case of emergencies, and you are contacting directly to your superior. Next is your delegation. Delegation means transferring of authority and responsibility. When you will delegate, you are aware that this person who is your junior or subordinate, they are having expertise or they are having sufficient knowledge to deal with that situation. So that time you are giving delegation. Next is your span of control. Means number of direct reports under a manager. So here if I say this is a manager A, under this manager you have employee A, B and C. Okay. Under M1 manager you have this employees A, B, C. So span of control is going to be 3. Yes, how many employees you are controlling and how many employees will report to this M1. That is 3, span of control. Next, there are different types of organization. Number one is centralized organization, when top level person or single authority is going to make decisions. Then next is your decentralized organization, when decision making power is distributed across department. You are involving everyone in decision making. Then line and staff organization, you all are here in your bank line. This you can say employees. Okay. So line executives means command and control. You are making day-to-day activities, you are taking decisions, and you are doing your work. And then you have staff specialists. They are experts. They will guide you, they will advise you, they will support you, but they will not take final decisions. Final decisions are taken by you. Then you have functional organization based on your different departments, like you have HR, marketing, finance. Then committee organization. We are making this committee organization for any particular task. Like in your bank, you identified one fraud. So for identifying that fraud, who are involved in it, for time being, you have made one committee. So that is your committee organization. Now, let's talk about organizational structure. Now, in organizational structure, you have two types, that is formal and informal. Formal, like your bank is following. Yes, there is hierarchy, there are policies, regulations. So that is what formal. Next is your informal organization. Now, informal is like your friends group, yes, colleagues group. So that is what, there is no written documentations, no written rules, nothing. So that is what, without any written rules, this is created naturally. So these are the two types of organization structure. Then next is your organization chart. When we talk about some chart, that is some graphical representation, yes, of roles, responsibilities, about reporting relationships. This also talks about your hierarchy, power flow, and formal structure, like which position is he holding, which part, yes, in ground level, what are the different employees, what are the different levels. So that is what given by organization chart. Then you have two types of this chart, that is master and supplementary chart. Master chart, when you see entire organization in just one graph, or you can talk about supplementary when you want to know about in depth of any organization or any department, that is supplementary. Now, how to present these charts? You have three types. Number one, that is vertical, top down. Yes, you have your senior, then your subordinates, and then finally your junior. Then horizontal or left to right, means here is your topmost person, then a senior level person, after that some juniors. So this is how your left to right chart is there. Last is your circular one, means here you have one circle and in center you have your senior. So these are the ways through which you can present this organizational chart. Next is about manual. When you identify any, or when you want to know about any rules and regulations in any written document about that company's policy, about their goals, authority, responsibility definitions, procedures, rules, and roles. So this is one document, or you can say this is one booklet in which you can talk about organizational activities. Then there are 4 sections in which this book will be divided. First, that is policy, operational, organizational, and rules and regulations. How you can remember this? By the term that is POOR. Hana, your organizational manual is POOR. Then next is your organization culture. Now, what type of behavior, communication, or what culture you are following? That is what. First is clan culture. It's like family culture. Hana, when you see any family business, or when you talk about Tata company, so they all are having, for each and everyone, this family bondings. They are following some traditions, some that rules which are followed from generations to generations. So that is what clan culture. Next is advocacy culture, in which you are ready to take risk. Yes, you are ready to tackle any uncertainties, and you are also ready to take any innovative actions. So this is covered under advocacy. It's like your startup company. Startup company is ready to take lots and lots of risk. They're ready to, do innovations. So that is what. Then market culture. Market culture means this is market oriented, result oriented, customer driven, based on competitions and your profit also. Last is your hierarchy culture, that is followed in your banks when you have some structure, control, efficiency, some set of rules and regulations. So these are the different organization culture. Then next is your sources of authority. Now, what is the meaning of authority? When you are holding power to take decisions, you have right to give command. So that is what authority. So what are the different ways you can provide this? Number one, that is legitimate authority. This is what legitimate authority, in which because of your position, because of your status in the system, people are following you. Like politicians, why we are listening to them? Because they are elected by people, and that's why we need to listen to them. So what power they are holding? That is legitimate authority. Next, coercive authority. Because of fear, punishment, we are listening to them. Yes, like Britishers used to do this. Coercive authority. Then rewarding authority, based on bonus, incentives, yes, some monetary benefits. So you are listening to them. That is rewarding. Then expert authority. because of person's knowledge, expertise. Why we are listening to doctors? Because they are expert in their field. Yes. Then next is referent authority, because of their admirations, personal influence, like influencers. Why we are listening to influencers or motivational gurus? Because they are our idol. Yes. So these are the 5 sources of authority. Next is your organizational change. Means in organization, if you want to change from one thing to next thing, how you can change it, or what are the types of organizational change you have. First is developmental change. Your existing software is updated now, or every month or after 15 days you might see in your mobile phone also some update notification is coming. Take update your software, install new software. So that is what, that is your developmental change. Existing process or procedures, this is improving. Okay. Next is your transitional change. Transitional change means from one state to different state we are moving. Like in your bank, earlier you used to do manually all the activities. Now you adopted softwares. Yes, you have your own server. So that is a transitional, current state to a new state. Then last is a transformational change, means entering new markets or shifting business models. Like Reliance entered telecommunication with the name Jio. So this was transformational change. So these are the different organizational change. But when we talk about employees, sometimes they are not ready to adopt this. So what they will do? They will resist this change. So what behavior they will show here? Like they will do the fault finding. They will identify small faults. They will make insultive, offensive remarks. They will be in absence in your meeting. Then they are giving dishonoring commitments, continuous arguments they are going to do, or disruptive behavior. So this will show that your employees are not ready to accept this new change. Yes. Then what are the approaches management can use to establish this change? Yes, or how they can change their individual's behavior. So that is given under different approaches. First is your live and change model. This is given in 3 steps. First, unfreeze, prepare for change by breaking the status quo. Then change, implement your new thing, and finally refreeze. Next, you have McKinsey 7S framework. McKinsey is your MNC company. They made this 7S framework. First is strategy, structure, system, shared values, style, staff, skills. So these are the 7S. Next is Kotter's 8-step model. First, you need to create urgency. Yes, first you need to create that urgency, that why we want this particular activity. Then build your team, then identify your goal, then communicate with each and everyone. Empower action means start implementing, create short-term wins. And don't wait for your full year to be in. Start your winning or start celebrating a small win, like monthly win, 15 days, half yearly, quarterly, that is. Then don't let up. Even if you find any failures, do not give up. Then last is your anchor change in culture. Next is a nudge theory. Yes, nudge theory means we are supporting, we are guiding. That is what your nudge theory. Encouragement to influence behavior positively. So these are the different approaches. Next, that is Atkar model. Now, ADKR means awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So this is one more model. Then you have then bridge transition model, ending your past thing, then being neutral zone, like uncertainty, confusion. So be in a neutral zone without thinking about your past, without thinking about your future. Just be in your present. And finally, start your new beginning. And this is going to be your new reality. So this is how you can change an individual's behavior. Then last is your Kubler-Ross 5-stage model. Now this is your grief model, applies to emotional reaction to changes. That is denial. Suppose your employer said that from tomorrow there is no requirement of you in our office. Means he is doing layoff. So what you will feel denial. You will not accept that situation, that you have given so many things to this organization. Now why they are leaving or why they are doing this with me? And you will feel then anger. But after that, you will try to do negotiation. So that is bargaining. And finally, you will be in depression that now you don't have your jobs, you have so many EMIs, you have your family, how you will take care of all these things. And the last is your acceptance, and you will move forward and you will look for next new job. So these are the different approaches to management change. Then next is your conflict. Okay. Now conflict is a very common thing in any organization. When there is disagreement between two people, that will lead to some conflict. But when you are in management position, you need to have some skills so that you can remove this or you can manage this conflict. So what are the skills we require from management? So this is clear and effective communication, listening attentively, problem solving, and being patient. So these are the few skills we require from your management. Next is about staffing. Staffing means you have done your planning, you have seen about management, you have made different departments, but now in those departments we want employees. So employees you will be appointing through staffing. So there are three facets of staffing, that is recruitment, selection and training. These are the three different facets of staffing. Then next is your recruitment. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is your positive process. Positive process means when you have job vacancy in your organization, what you will do, you will publish in different media on a different platform, so that this information will spread to large amount of people who are interested. Then interested candidates will give their CVs to you. So in that situation, you will accept each and everyone's CV. So this is what recruitment. Now in this you have different types of recruitment. Like number one, you have internal recruitment. You are giving promotion or you are fulfilling in your organization only. Then retained recruiting. Retained recruiting means here is your bank, that is let's say XYZ bank. They appointed one, let's say recruiting firm, and this recruiting firm will identify eligible candidates. And for this process, XYZ bank will pay some fees to this firm. So this is what retained recruiting. Related to this, we have contingency recruiting. Situation is same. Here is your XYZ bank. They will be appointing some recruiting firm. Recruiting firm will look for eligible candidates, and if that candidate is selected by your bank, then only they will make the payment. Yes, no upfront payment, no upfront fees will be made unless and until you are selecting that person. Then next is a reverse recruiting. Based on skills of your employees or about their, you can say, objectives in their life or about their interests, they will search for that companies. So this is what reverse recruiting. Then recruiting for staffing agencies, temporary, or you can say you have some contract job persons in your organization. Then outplacement recruiting. This is generally done when you are lay off your employees and you are also helping them to identify their new job. So that is what outplacement recruiting. Then next is about your selection process. From different CVs, you will select any one particular CV. So this is your negative process, because you are rejecting, you are doing short listing, correct? Then after this you have training. Training means after selection, you will give them some training time, like probation period. So this is what training done by two ways. First, on the job learning by doing, like you are doing internship, that is what, or probation period work, that is what on the job. Then off the job training means you are attending some seminars, you are going for conferences, workshop. Okay, so that is what off the job training. So these are the two types of training. Then about retention. Retention means when you are keeping your existing employees. Suppose your existing employee said that I want to leave this organization or I am giving resignation. So your bank will give them extra amount, they will give extra perquisites so that that existing employee will not leave. So this is what retention. Next is your knowledge and learning management. This is given for your SESI model. Now you have socialization, then you have externalization, combination and internalization. So this is your SESI model: social, external, combination, internalization. Then next is your performance appraisal. Every year, every month, your management must be giving you some targets. So if you are able to achieve it, or if you have done best in your organization, what they will do? They will give you some appraisals. So how they will give you these appraisals? By reviewing your performance. So what are the types of performance appraisal you have? First, that is self-evaluation. As an employee, you are identifying that what you have done for this organization. That is your self-evaluation. Then peer assessment, your colleagues, your co-workers, they are giving you this ranking. Okay. Then 360-degree feedback. You are also giving, peers also giving, supervisors, subordinates. Everyone is talking about your performance. Then last is negotiated appraisal. Here your employee is there, here your employer is there. Now you are appointing third party. Okay. Now this third party will listen to employee also, listen to employer also, and this third party is going to be your mediator. This third party is going to be mediator who will then finally decide whether to give appraisal or not. So these are the types of performance appraisal. Then for appraisal, you have different methods. First is your past oriented methods. Next is your future oriented methods. Under past, you have rating scale, trait analysis, force choice method, force distribution, critical incident method, confidential, pen portrait method. Now, rating scale, like giving from out of 5, okay, what is the rating that is? Trait analysis, you are saying yes or no based on their behavior. You will get one questionnaire from HR. Force choice method, in this you will get few questionnaire and you will get some statements and you need to select which is the most accurate statement. Force distribution method, you will get like A plus A, B plus B and C. And from your department as a management, you need to give for each employee this rating. Okay, so this is like A1 for employee 1, A for employee 2, B plus for employee 3, B for employee 4, C for employee 5. So here you need to distribute your employees. That is. Then critical incident method. That in different situations, how your employee is behaving. That is what. Then confidential method. Yes, they are making one report and that is very confidential, means your management and you are only aware about it. Last is pen portrait, like an essay. Your manager is like writing one essay on you. That is your pen portrait. Next is your future-oriented methods. MBO already we covered in your planning unit. Then 360-degree method we have already seen. Then you have assessment center method and bars method. So these are your future-oriented methods. Next is about your directing. Under directing you have different elements like leadership, motivation, communication, supervision. Now, leadership means when you have the set of behavior that everyone is listening to you. Yes, you are able to tell your employees what to be done and they are following you. So this is your right leader. Now, what are the qualities we want under your leader? Like outward look, vision, foresight, intelligence, communication power, objective, he needs to understand, knowledge, sense of responsibility, humanist, compassion, and self-confidence and ability to exert one's will. Now, there are different leadership models. Like you have authoritarian leader. Do as I say. That single person is holding that power and that person will only take these rules and regulations. Then participative means they are welcoming each and everyone's point of view and they are discussing them. Transformational leadership, it's like inspire to transform others, like motivational gurus. Then delegative, laissez-faire leadership, it's like you take charge. Now here, based on their skill, based on their experience, you are giving them whole power and this is what delegative or you can say laissez-faire. Then transactional leadership. Transactional means here some transactions you will make like bonus, appraisal, incentives. So these are the few types of leadership model. Next is your motivation. Now motivation is a Latin term which says motive means necessity, incline or drive. Okay. Now in this you will get motivation based on two ways. First, this is going to be extrinsic motivation, means from external sources you are motivated, from your motivational gurus, from your family, from your colleagues, you are motivated. Next is intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation means when you are motivated from inside. You want to do it. Okay. I want to complete this target. So that is what that is, intrinsic motivation. Next is your impact of motivation. So there are three impacts. First, conformational change. You know about any course which is very difficult, but then also you are pursuing for it. That is your conformational. Then perseverance. Okay. Even though there are so many obstacles when you are pursuing it, then also you stick to your goal. And finally, you have intensity. This is your manifestation related to your dedication, your achievement, that is what. So these are the three things in conformational, perseverance and intensity. Now, when we talk about motivation, in this also you have different ways of motivation. First is like Alderfer's ERG theory. Alderfer's ERG theory is similar with your Maslow's ERG theory. Okay. But Maslow, you have full triangle, you have different steps. But Alderfer divided that whole triangle in three parts. That is existence, relatedness, and growth. Then Hedgeberg's two-factor theory, motivational and hygiene factors, covered in your starting part. Then Macklin's theory of needs. In this, you have three needs. Need for achievement, that you need to achieve your goal, take any risk, that is. Need for power, you need to control, you want leadership, that is. Need for affiliation, you want family, friends, society. Next is self-determination theory. Self-determination theory is your intrinsic motivation. When you are motivated from your own, that is what. Then Porter's and Lawrence theory. Performance rewards satisfaction. Now, whatever you are performing, and if for that, if you are getting rewards, this is going to be, of course, motivating for you. So that is what. Then equity theory. Equity theory means whatever inputs you are giving to your organization, time, skill, effort, overtime, everything. If that is not equal to your output, like your payment, skill, position, what you will feel? You will feel demotivated or you will try somewhere else. So this is what equity theory. Then Bloom's expectancy theory divided into three things. That is wellness, instrumentality, and expectancy. So this is about your motivation theory. Next is your communication. Now communication means how you are transferring your information without making any mistakes. So that is what communication. You have two models. First, linear model. This is one-way communication. Like when you are using radio, only one-way communication is there. Dynamic model, there is both-way communications. Like telephone, mobile, we both are communicating. So that is what communication models. Then controlling. Now controlling means what? Acha, wait, just a second. Now, controlling is what? Controlling means when you are using your actual performance and you're comparing with standards. Okay. So in your plan, whatever you have made, if you compare with your actual, and in that, if you find any difference, what you will do, you will take some, corrective actions. So this is what controlling. Next, you have types of controlling. Like number one, it is feedback control. Now, feedback control means what? Here, after completion of service, you are getting feedback. That is your feedback control. Then proactive control. Proactive control means you know it. These are the problems even before starting of it. So that is a proactive control. Last is your concurrent control. That is real-time engagement. You are doing your work, you are identifying your flaws, and you are controlling it. So that is concurrent. Feedback after, proactive before starting of task, and this is real-time. Okay. Next, about control techniques. So you have traditional techniques and modern techniques. Traditional techniques like personal observation. Yes, directly your manager is observing you. That is what. Then break-even analysis, no profit, no loss situation. Then statistical reports, budgetary control, standard minus actual, statistical reports like using your ratios and all. Okay. Modern techniques, that is return on investment. Then you have financial statement and ratios, responsibility and accounting, PERT and CPM, this is important, and management information system and management audits. So these are your control techniques. This is not your ratios is covered there. This is about statistical reports, like you are using your average, okay, you are using your percentages or mean, mode, median, that thing. So that is statistical reports. So these are the control techniques. Next is your hybrid finance. Hybrid means what? Combination of more than one thing. Finance means funds. So what type of funds you are generating in which you have both the things, that is equity plus debt. Now what are the types of hybrid securities? First we have preference shares, warrants, foreign currency convertible bonds, mezzanine financing, convertible debentures and bonds. So now in this, if you go with the first one, that is preference shares. Preference shares, they are giving you fixed dividend, okay, and they are also giving amount, or at the time of winding up of any company, first preference shareholders will get amount and then equity holders. So these are the some points, and yes, no voting right is given to preference shareholders. Now what are the different types of preference shares? That is cumulative, your right to receive dividend, okay, will not lapse. So that is cumulative. Non-cumulative, right will lapse if you make any losses. Participating means you will get fixed dividend. Along with this fixed dividend, you are also eligible at the time of liquidation for extra profit. That is what participating. Non-participating, only and only fixed dividend. Redeemable preference shares means you have some specific life. 20 years for all companies except infrastructure project, max life is equal to 30 years, plus from 21st year, redeem 10%. Then non-redeemable, no life. And in India, we are not allowed to issue it. Convertible means you are issuing preference shares. After some time, you can convert it into equity. Adjustable rate means based on your market rates. This is about your types of preference shares. Then warrants. A warrant gives the holder the right to purchase a company's stock at a specific price and specific date. This is about your warrants. Then next is about conversion price cannot be less than some amount is there. Now how to calculate that price? You can take average of the weekly high and low of the stock's closing price on the stock exchange over the 6 months prior to the relevant date. You can take average of your closing of your high and lows of the stock closing prices over the 6 months before your calculation of this conversion price, or you can take average of weekly highs and lows, and in this you will take closing prices during 2 weeks preceding the relevant date. So these are the 2 ways, any way you can opt for calculation of conversion price. So this is about warrants. Now coming to next, how to value or how to calculate their amount. So that is about Black-Scholes model. So it is used for valuation of options. Yes, this is your PYQ topic. So remember, in exam also they can ask how to value your options or how to value your warrants. Black scholars model. Next is convertible debentures. Means you are issuing debentures and after some years you are converting it to equity. So that is about convertible debentures. Then you have conversion ratio and conversion price. Conversion ratio means number of equity shares debenture holder can receive in exchange of one debenture. When you are saying you will convert your debenture into equity, so if you are holding one debenture, how many equity shares you will receive? That is what calculated with the help of conversion ratio. Then conversion price, this is the price per share paid by the holder upon conversion. Yes, so this is about conversion ratio and conversion price. Next is about mezzanine financing. Now mezzanine financing, this gives the lender the right to convert the debt into equity in case of company's default. If company makes any default and you issued some debentures or some loan to the company, now at the time of default, you can convert that into your equity, into ownership. Or you can say mezzanine financing is used for raising funds when you are talking about specific projects or when you are talking about any acquisitions. So at that time, you can use mezzanine financing. Next is your foreign currency convertible bonds. Now this is denominated in foreign currency, okay, and they are issuing this outside India. So this is what this is issued outside India and denominated in different currency. Like Reliance issued outside India, let's say in dollars in USD. Okay, so this is about your foreign currency convertible bonds. And remember, mezzanine financing is important. Please read it again before leaving for exam. Next is about your startup. Okay. Now, when we talk about startup, you will get some benefits like 3-year income tax exemption, then capital gain tax exemption, self-certification under 9 labor laws, 3 environmental laws, no routine inspection for 3 to 5 years unless and until some major or written complaints government receive, funding support you will get from the government, and these IPR benefits. This is important. Okay. So remember, if you are going for filing of patents, you will get 80% rebate. If you're filing trademark, you will get 50% rebate and free guidance from IPR facilitators. So these are the key benefits if you're starting any startup company. Now there are different challenges, different programs. Like number 1 is your incubator grant challenge. This is launched under Atal Innovation Mission. Then Startup India Yatra, they are targeting tier 2 and tier 3 cities and they are offering guidance, support in the cities. Then next is your Rule 170, subsection 1 of CFR. This is giving exemption to IIT recognized startup companies to submit, means there is no requirement to submit any. You can say earnest money or you can say security deposit to file any government tenders. So this is what Rule 170. Then SCO startup, this is recognized under Shanghai Corporation Organization. Then Women Capacity Development, which is known as WING. Remember the full form. What is the full form of WING? That is Women Capacity Development Program. Now in this, we are providing platform to women-led businesses. Then National Startup Award. This launched in 2021 to recognize startups in different areas. Next is your GEM Startup. GEM Startup is a government e-marketplace where government is giving startup companies one platform to identify their buyers. So this is your GEM. Then Innovation Zones. Innovation zones are talking about your urban local bodies to improve some public service and governance. Then State Startup Ranking. Government is giving state-wise ranking based on startups, their success and number of startups. So that is startup ranking. Then next is your Startup India Showcase. This is your virtual platform if you are working towards technology, finance, education, etc. Next is your Startup India networking platform. This will give you one powerful search and filters for discovery of startups by different stakeholders. Next is about insolvency bankruptcy code. Generally, if you wind up any company, that will take around 180 days. But if you are a startup company, you will wind up within 90 days. Then next is Inspire. Inspire is encouraging young youth. If young people ages around 10 to 15 and they are very innovative, they have made something very creative, then they will get support from government through Inspire. Innovation in science pursuit for inspired research. Next is Digital Demo Day. If you're working in IT sectors, softwares, VR, robots, then that is your Digital Demo Day support. Animal Husbandry Startup Grant Challenge. This is helping towards animal husbandry like milk and all. To get dairy products. Then Ayushman is related to your health. Yes, PMJY. Then next is about your Textile Grant Challenge. textile is working towards textile industry to boost their growth and development. Innovation challenge, this is based on water quality testing, and they're providing better and clean water to everyone. Startup India single-use plastic international challenge, they are saying to stop use single plastic. Single plastic means like your food wrappers. We are not using it, we are not recycling it. So government is saying to stop using the single plastic usage. Then next is MNRE Startup Grant Challenge. Lower carbon emissions. This will also ensure energy security through renewable energy innovations. Next is your research part, like you have IITs, IISc, Bangalore, that is. Then single point registration scheme. This is helping micro and small enterprises to get the registration, and that is going to be valid for 2 years. And business must meet some eligibility criteria. Then you have extramural research. This is the funding scheme by SERB to encourage basic research in science and engineering. So these are the some functions, or you can say programs, supports by government. Next we have venture capital. Next about venture capital. So here it is a form of private equity only, okay, but they are helping support to, or they are giving support to startups and small businesses with long-term growth potential. So what they are doing, venture capitalists, they are giving support, they are identifying startups and small businesses, okay, and private equity, they are funding 2-year limited partnership focused on restructuring private companies, and especially those companies who are stable in the market. Okay, so they are funding financial and operational restructuring. They are giving support to established companies, but venture capitalists, they are giving support to startup companies or small companies. Then what are the key roles in venture capital firm? So when you're talking about venture capitalists, they have their own firm. Okay. Now in that you have different roles. Analyst is a very junior level. They are searching, they're attending workshop, they're identifying different you can say startups, small businesses, and they will suggest to their next level, that is associate. Associate is above your analyst, and they are what senior or junior based on experience. They are having some financial expertise and strong relationship building. And next is your principal. Principal is above your associates. Now they are below partners, but they are bridging, they are, you can say, intermediate person who will connect associates and partners. Okay. And this principal, based on its guidelines through the funding process, and soon is going to become partner. Okay, this principal will soon become partner. So who are partners? Partners are senior members of your venture capital firm. There are 2 types of partners. General partner, they are focusing on investment decisions. Managing partner, they are involving in investment and operational matters. And finally, venture partners, not involved in daily operations and investment decisions. So these are venture partners. They are identifying new businesses, taking new opportunities, and they are suggesting. So this is your venture partner. Then EIR, that is entrepreneur in residence. Now they are associated with the firm through prior successful exits, like works for the firm like 1.5 years, and then they will switch to some new, you can say, business opportunities, and they will also create some startup for future investments. Then next is your limited partners. Limited partners are giving funds to your venture capital firm. So this is about your limited partners. Now power law. This indicates that not every investment has to be profitable one. Like if you are investing in different areas, not every investment is giving you profitability. So that is what power law. Okay, that not every investment, not every amount that you are investing in startup that will be successful. So that is power law. Now next is your angel fund. This is important, and this is known as angel fund. Now angel fund is a subcategory of venture capital fund under your category 1 of AIF. Now they are raising funds specially for angel investors and invest as per chapter 3A of AIF. Now what are the, you can say, eligibility to become angel investor? If you are an individual investor like you and me, we can also become angel investor if we are having net tangible assets about 2 crores. But remember, we need to exclude principal residence. Then next is we need to meet one of any criteria. This is your additional point. This is the first point. Then anyone you need to select. This is all. Early stage investment experience, some serial entrepreneur or senior management, you have at least 10 years experience. Or if you talk about any body, corporate, like companies, partnership firms, then their net worth should be above 10 crores. Any other entities, if that is given by SEBI regulations. So this is about your angel investor eligibility. Now how much they will be investing and for what time period. So about investment rules, this angel fund accepts, or they are giving this angel investors are giving at least 25 lakhs per angel investor. So if you are becoming angel investor, you need to give 25 per investment. And this is going to be max to max 3 years. You cannot exceed from 3 years. So this is about your angel investors. Now, how you can leave these companies? Okay. So you have IPOs, then you have trade sale, secondary buyouts, dual track process, and leveraged recapitalization. So these are the 5 ways through which you can exit from this private equity. Next, AI. Now, AI, nowadays we are using robots, softwares, yes? So that is what AI. In this, you have one contribution by Google. Google gave you search engine algorithm, Google Rank Brain, AI Hub, Kubeflow, pipeline system, then Google Duplex and Hold for me. Now, what are AI used in banking and finances? Number one, customer service engagement like chatbot. Then you have robo advice, predictive analytics, yes, then cyber security, scoring credit, HIS, hybrid information system, or neural networks. Neural network means we are using cells like our human brains. Okay? We are creating totally artificial human brains. Like we have our nervous system, we are also creating like same depict of our human brain. That is neural network. Then rational agent. Rational agent means could be anything that makes decision, including a person, company, machine, or any software. Now, what are the tools and techniques? This was asked in your pre-YQ. So this is important. Search and optimization, logic, probabilistic methods for uncertain reasoning, and classifiers and statistical learning methods. So these are the tools and techniques of AI. Next is about your business analytics. Business analytics means when you are combining skill, technologies. As a management, you are evaluating your performance, your reports. So you have different types of business analytics like descriptive analytics, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. Now this is also important. There is one case study based on it. Descriptive and diagnostic, these two things talks about past, what actually happened. Predictive and this prescriptive talks about your future. Okay, how to deal in future. So this is about your types of business analytics. Then next, elements of business analysis, that is data mining, text mining, data aggregation, forecasting, and data visualization. Now in this, when we talk about data mining, this is the process of searching through big data, any important data. Okay, while you are collecting different data from different sources, not every data is going to be relevant for you. So which is the required data, how to search it, data collection, preparation, mining, and presentation and interpretation. So these are the 4 steps to go for data mining. Then types of data mining techniques. You have data mining using association rules, if and then rule, then classification, clustering, regression, sequence and path analysis, or neural networks. So these are the types of data mining techniques. Then text mining techniques means converting your unstructured text into structured text. Okay, you have gathered different information, but that is not your final report. In that, you will search which are the important points, which are the important relevant information, and you will make some proper report. So you have structured data, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Then text mining techniques, you have like retrieval of information, you will use tokenization, steaming. In case of natural language processing, you have summarization, part of speech, text categorization, and sentimental analysis. Next, you have data aggregation, collecting your raw data and presenting in a summary format. That is what data aggregation. Yes. Next is your forecasting. Forecasting means deciding about your future using your past plus present. See, that is given also here. Deciding about your future by using your past or present data. You have qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative based on some facts. Okay. You have some data about it. You have some historical data. But in case of qualitative, based on your opinions, intuitions, and experience, you are giving this judgment. So this is your forecasting. Then data visualization. Visualization means graphical presentation. Okay. So that is using charts, graphs, maps, data visualization tools. Now, how big data analytics work? Here you have data collection, you will be collecting, then processing, data cleaning, unnecessary things, duplicate things you will remove, and finally, data analysis, data mining, predictive analytics, and deep learning. Next is about your green finance. Green finance means again generating funds, but for which type of projects? Which are environmental friendly projects, sustainable projects you are identifying. ISO standard, this is important. 32210 talks about your framework. 007 talks about cost and benefits. 008 talks about monetary valuation. 097 talks about your reporting. So these are the ISO standard. Then green bonds and their types. Companies are using these bonds and raising funds from the public. For which type of a product? For their sustainable products. Okay. Or you can say environmental friendly products. Now, first is your organization guaranteed bonds. These are general obligation bonds which are issued by the company or you can say governments, and these are converted into equity. These are having conversion nature. Hybrid bonds means these are the combination of secured and unsecured debt. In this you have issuer owned asset or SPE approval bonds. Then next is greenwash. Greenwash means when a company makes an environmental claim, you are saying that you are manufacturing environmental friendly products, but in real sense you are doing intended to promote a sense environmental impact, but that doesn't exist. You are saying you are manufacturing environmental friendly products, but in reality you are not making that. You are using chemicals, you are using animals, or you are destroying environment. So this is what greenwash. Your claim is something and your product is something different. So this is greenwash. Then meaning of SPAC, special purpose acquisition company. Companies are created to raise capital through IPO, or their goal is to acquire or merge with any existing company, and they are not doing no operating activities. Okay, they are not manufacturing, they are not trading, nothing. Now, the timeline is up to 24 months. Okay. So in this 24 months, they will be searching for target company, negotiation, agreement, disagreement, and if they are not able to do this whole procedure in 24 months from the starting date, then they will be doing closing of this company. This is going to be your winding up of SPAC company, and you will return back amounts to their respective investors. Or if you are able to identify target company, completion of merger, then you will see de-SPAC of your company. So this whole things needs to be done in 24 months. Now, who are stakeholders in this company? First, sponsors, they are giving starting amount. Then you have investors, then you have targets. Targets is the company which you are going to choose. Then trust account, whatever amount you have raised in your SPAC, you will keep that amount in separate account, that is trust account. Warrants, these are partly sold to the public and fully purchased by sponsors, which will give them the right to buy shares later at a set price. Now here is one combination. This combination is important, like combination of shareholding after IPO. So public will hold 80% and founder shares will hold 20%. 80 public, 20 founder shares. Then next is de-SPAC process. In this you have requirements for shareholder approval, your probation votes, and disclosure of material in your Super 8K form, and finally redemption offer. So this is how you will do de-SPAC process. After merging, when you are going to close that SPAC company, that is your de-SPAC process. And with this, we complete your revision of ABFM theory topics. Remember, try to watch this session again. We have covered your important theories. As you know, this is a Chalisa, so we have completed in a very fast manner, and all the very best. I know this time you all are going to clear your exam. Have faith on you, and remember, you know everything, every point. Just be calm during your exam time and share your marks after clearing it. So all the very best, everyone.